Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be breaking down what the 2nd Infantry Division wore during the Battle of Brest, August to September of 1944.
Now for a little background context on the Battle of Brest. After the breakout from Normandy in August of 1944, the Allies were racing across France and in desperate need of a major port to support the advance into Germany. Now, one of those ports was Brest in the western tip of Brittany. The city was heavily fortified and defended by German paratroopers. In late August, U.S. forces, including the 2nd and 29th Infantry Division, began attacking the city. Followed was brutal block-by-block fighting. Artillery and bombing reduced much of Brest to rubble, but the Germans held out for weeks. On September 19, 1944, the garrison finally surrendered, but the port was so wrecked it was basically useless to the Allies. Brest was a good reminder that German strongholds that were heavily fortified could still put up a good fight in September of 1944.
Here, we've got standard service boots. Now, at this time, you would have likely seen guys with roughouts, but I don't have roughouts, as most of you know. So, I usually go with these. I got them just because they cover a wider range of impressions. And then I'll get some roughouts hopefully soon. These are some original gaiters. I think they're dated 43. Yeah, 43 right there. They're pretty nice, pretty good condition other than that. I need to get them a little dirty, honestly. That's the problem with a lot of my gear. It's not super dirty. But here we've got M1 steel pot helmet. That's a crappy repo liner, but it does the job. It's pretty good. Over here we've got, this is a replica M6 gas mask bag. A lot of guys would have probably ditched their gas mask at this point. Some of them might have still had them. Again, not everybody knew what the Germans were going to do, because you have to remember Brest was a port town, and it needed to be protected at all costs. I believe Hitler declared it a fortress, and it needed to be defended at all costs. Now over here, this is my most recent acquisition. This is an original M1928 haversack. This is actually pre-war, most likely, unless it was made in late December of 1941. But it's dated 1941 right there. As you can see, it's a bit better quality. It's got thick straps. Then it's got the original pack tail here. The pack tail is dated 42. And then we got this at the front meat can pouch, which I'm looking to replace as soon as I can. But meat can pouches are pretty expensive and kind of hard to find. So I think it looks fine for now. But before we move on, I think we should break apart this haversack and see what's inside. Alright, so here we have our haversack. I'm going to start with the meat can pouch so you guys can see what I keep in there and what most guys would have been keeping in there. So when we open this up here, you can see this is an original mess kit from 1945. I don't know if the date's super visible right there. 1945. Here we got original utensils. Now, please keep in mind that not every guy would have been carrying around his mess kit because it's more weight. They're always trying to shed weight, and this is pretty far into like the Normandy campaign, fighting in France. So you wouldn't see every guy carrying those. They would probably fill this with, socks or whatever they need extra space for. So go ahead and open up this. You can see that top part folds up. If you are a reenactor, you know exactly how a haversack works, but I'm just going to go over it. So again, more straps. This is another reason why the M1928 haversack is deemed one of the worst designs of World War II. Simply, it's just because it's too complicated. There's too many straps. It's difficult to get open on the fly, and that is why they introduced the musette bag, then later the M44 pack system, and then very late in the war the M45 pack system. Alright, so now, after all of that, we've finally got our personal items exposed, all the straps are off. We'll take a look at what we got here. Starting up here, we've got a tank top. Now, most guys would be wearing one of these and carrying a couple extra, and then they would get new supplies every couple of weeks. Here we've got two pairs of socks. They would be wearing one and then likely carrying another pair of socks or another two. Here we have two pairs of Army boxers. Now these are both original. They are both from 1945. I have separate videos on these. Pretty much mint condition, so I use them. Here we have a K ration. Now, soldiers were often eating 2 hot meals a day, as much as they could. You know, as always, supply lines don't come through all the time. They wouldn't always eat 2 hot meals a day, but for their 1 cold meal day, that would be the supper ration, which is
There were also other units like the breakfast.
I just keep crackers in here, and then I've got a couple extra things. Fruit juice powder, this is a ration I made myself. Granulated sugar, another ration I made myself. And then just some random coffee packets from Modern MREs. I'm still trying to load out my K ration box, and hopefully I'll make some more rations in the future. All right, last but certainly not least, we have the ditty bag. So we've got in here cigarettes, not real by the way, tooth powder. If you don't know how tooth powder works, you just sprinkle it in your mouth or on your toothbrush, and it kind of just turns into toothpaste in your mouth. We've got a comb. Soap tin, this is an original 1920s era soap tin, and that's just what I keep my soap in. And next we've got a original shaving brush. I would say this is probably from the 30s or the early 40s. I got this from D-Day, Ohio. It's pretty sweet. Here we've got a little box of razors, obviously for shaving. Next up we have a toothbrush. This is a pretty soft toothbrush. I don't know how much you're gonna get off your teeth with that. But next we have Waldorf toilet paper. These are 2 rations I made myself. This is all they had. They'd carry around this ration of toilet paper. It's not that much, but you know, in wartime it gets the job done. Here we have Williams Mug shaving soap. For the longest time I didn't have shaving soap in there, but now I do. Next we have a mirror, you can see there, and then we have an original razor from likely the 30s or the early 40s. So that's pretty cool. So now you've seen what I keep inside the haversack, and let's keep moving on. Alright, so next up here we have the M41 field jacket. Now, in a lot of original pictures I'll pop up right here, you see a lot of guys wearing the HBT or just the M37 wool shirt, but some guys were wearing these. Again, it was pretty hot in August to September in like southern eastern France, so a lot of guys stripped down to prevent overheating. Next, this is the HBT jacket I was talking about. Now, you saw guys wearing the jacket and the pants, or just the pants and M37, but and you see the combo of the HBT tunic and the M37 wool pants. So that's what I'm going to be doing for this impression. And then, as I mentioned down here, these are the M37 wools. We got an M37 wool tunic. This is the thinner variant. And then we've got these M37 wool pants. These are from 1942. And I can't find a date on this one. Those 2 are at the front replicas. Down here we have my M1 Grand. Now, on camera it appears to be not as dark as it is. I'm working on getting a new stock for this, because I don't love the stock that's on it right now. This was the CMP kind that's like they refurbish it. That's not the kind I wanted, but there's some issues in ordering it and shipping it. CMP was out, and then they shipped the wrong one, and then they shipped this one, so we just ended up with this one. But supposedly this receiver, or this this part is from 1944, 45 or something like that. But all these pieces are probably not original to the gun. They're probably refurbished down the line, and then they just put it together. But it shoots really nice, and I do love it. I'm just working on getting a different stock for it. And I don't have lock bar sights. And I hopefully am gonna get a different strap. This strap's just doing fine for now, but it's not great. I'm sure if Miss Drop 44 is watching this video, he's tearing me apart right now. But over here we've got my original M1 Grand belt. Now this M1 Grand belt is from 1943. It's in great condition. I use it for almost all of my impressions. Down here we got a Carlisle bandage pouch with original bandage tin inside. I'm working on making some wound tablets. My buddies send me some templates, so shout out GI guys, shout out Phantom Medic for that. Thank you. This is an original canteen cover, canteen and canteen cup. A lot of people ask me why I have this N on here. I'll make a separate video about it, but this was a gift from my godfather's father. We always call him Choo Choo Man. That's kind of why I like model trains. But this was, he had this in the Boy Scouts, and that was his initial, and that's why I have it. And then on the back there, it's got some more writing, but it's dated 1942, and then I think the canteen is 44, and the canteen cup is 44 as well, but I don't want to pull it out. Moving over here, this is an original entrenching tool dated 1945. You can see it right there, kinda. But this is a replica cover that I hate. I'm gonna try and replace it soon. It's not a bad color per se, but it's just very soft. It's got no structure to it. I tried to find it before I filmed this video, but it came originally with some kind of like post-war, I think it was like British, or it might have been some kind of other variant, because it didn't look like the American Vietnam style of cover, but it didn't come with an original World War II cover. So this works for now, but like I said, I'm going to replace it down the line. And here we have a pineapple grenade from Stand in the Door. I made a video on this one. It's one of the best replicas I've seen of a grenade. It's not full weight, I don't think, but it looks great. And then up here, the last couple things I have is a A11 watch. I'm going to see if I can try and find an original strap to put on this. It looks fine now, but the strap's just not quite the right color. But I like it. I wear it to school a lot, and I wear it out. And then here, standard service belt. Nothing special, just to hold up your pants. And then all of this is on a wool blanket. Likely they would not have been carrying the wool blanket into the field or on patrols. They would probably have it in a rear area with their haversack or something. So with all that, I think we should try on some of these impressions, try on some of this gear, and you guys can see how it looks on a person.
Apologies for not everything being in frame, but this is a pretty lightweight loadout, extremely common. I'll throw up some pictures. You got the cartridge belt and the gas mask bag. At the end, you'll see the video I based this off of, but extremely common throughout the Battle of Brest. Again, it was hot, so you got the rolled up sleeves, going lightweight for combat and patrols. This is the footage I took inspiration for this impression from. As you can see, everybody here's got their M37s on and lightweight load. Here we have cartridge belt set up with the haversack. We got the HBT. I'll throw up the picture I based this impression off of. This is still pretty lightweight, but this would be a little less common in combat, maybe moving from place to place, something like that. Or you would occasionally see guys wearing haversacks on patrol, but it was really up to their personal preference. Now, this is probably the most common loadout you're going to see during the Battle of Brest. This is HPT, cartridge belt, and M6 gas mask bag. I'll throw up the picture again. This is what I based it off of. You see a lot of guys with the HPT, and then this lightweight loadout for patrols and combat. And lastly here you have a marching load. This is, they've got everything on them. They're moving from one place to another. This would not be common in combat, most likely. They'd be wanting to shed their stuff, leave their haversack behind. If you watched to the end of the video, thank you, and let me know what you thought in the comments. Would you like to see more of these videos? Let me know what I did wrong, or what you would like to see more of. But with that, thank you and have a good day.